Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's CDCT live session. My name is Jason Rader, and I'll be your host as we talk today about creating a cloud-first security strategy with SASE. We got some great folks on the line that are going to help us through this conversation today. We've got JJ Safer and we have Ryan Williams. Why don't you gentlemen introduce yourself? Ryan, why don't you go first?
Sure. My name is Ryan Williams, and I lead worldwide routes to market for SASE products here at Palo Alto Networks. Thanks for having me.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. JJ Safer, I'm the Practice Development Manager in Security at Insight.
Fantastic. Good to see you again, JJ.
Yeah.
So, gentlemen, for our folks out there that are joining us and haven't seen some of our previous ones where we've kind of gone deep into SASE on the onset, why don't you kind of bring us up to speed on, what is SASE in general? JJ, why don't you take that one?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Jason. Yeah, so SASE, it's about the secure edge, right? And so how this really came to be is we've seen with the pandemic, we've seen a mad rush to enabling the remote workforce. So SASE's been around a very long time. It kind of started as a glorified VPN, but it's changed dramatically over time. There's been a lot of technology consolidation and enablement. But at the end of the day, SASE is allowing the best of breed security solutions to have extremely good connectivity between offices and for a remote workforce. So no matter pretty much where it is, you can have the highest level of security with the best level of connectivity.
Nice. Ryan, anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'll jump in. I think in general, what isn't SASE might be a better question, right? So
I like it.
There's a lot out there today. I think we're swimming in a little bit of a muddy pond, to use a Southern boys analogy. I grew up in Georgia, so forgive me for the one-liners, Jason, throughout the process today. But I think I completely agree with what JJ said. I think it used to be almost a framework, right? And a collection of technologies. And what we're starting to see is an evolution. And I really believe firmly that we're leading this evolution from a products perspective. I think SASE is now a product, right? And I even look at our evolution of, network security products, cloud security products, cloud edge security products, acquiring CloudGenix, where I came from an SD-WAN perspective, next generation, to use JJ's term, best of breed product, right? And we were two products in one framework a year ago, or 18 months ago when we joined the company. Now we're one product, bundled SKUs, subscription services, single cloud delivery fabric, single management platform. So I think it's moving from a framework to an actual product set. And I think there's a ton of value in that to customers, right? Because we're seeing better impact, really, in my opinion, in two areas. And it's improved security posture, so less gap in posture, and then better performance for the user.
Nice. And I like that approach. So, we joked a little bit earlier about how some people just think SASE is a glorified VPN or a remote connect perspective. And I like the approach that you took from taking complexity down, and performance. Obviously, when you combine products that are disparate into a single platform, you get a better performance increase. Is that from a maturity perspective, though? And I know that Palo's ahead of the curve from a maturity perspective on this. Where's the market going? Are we ahead of the market, or is the market catching up to this, or do you think everybody's fully engaged?
So I think, JJ, do you mind if I grab that? I didn't even know.
No, yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
Okay. So I think
this is round robin. You do your thing.
Yeah.
One-liners.
All right, cool. So what we're seeing, and what I'm kind of personally seeing through my lens, right? So I support all the different ecosystems of partners throughout the world. And I think what we're seeing is the market is validating that this is coming together, right? So there's consolidation, there's customers, there's network companies buying security companies, there's security companies buying network companies. There's security partners or customers or manufacturers like Palo Alto Networks that are buying other cloud technologies and finding out, like we just launched next generation CASB last week, right? CASB's been around a while, but we're believing that CASB absolutely has to be an integrated product story. And we've gotten there, right? And we're leading that charge, having all of those products under one umbrella. But maybe the other part I'd add to that is let's not forget the value of the Insight partnership, right? Or the value of the partner as a whole. There's a whole services component to this. So products don't do everything. And we think our products do a ton. They really do, genuinely. But you can't get there without that services component or that services economy which FYI, for those that aren't aware, that's growing at a 5x clip compared to the product side or the resale side, because organizations post-COVID, or unfortunately, I think we're seeing even more retraction now, right? So during, as much as I hate to say during COVID, I think what we're seeing is that these IT organizations who have always been stretched thin from a network and security perspective, they're stretched even more thin. And the value of the partner is so much bigger than it used to be. Even it's always been big, but it's even bigger now, right? Around experience, around that knowledge set to bring those best of breed products that JJ was mentioning before. I think that dependency is now very much on the partner, to the point, JJ, where I know you're seeing some of this, but we're literally at Palo stepping back and saying we can't scale for our customers from a support and services perspective without actually handing many customers over to partners if we've traditionally engaged with them in other capacities, right? So we're literally can't grow anymore without partners. So I don't know, JJ, if you want to comment on kind of the partner impact here, but from our perspective,
absolutely. It's very,
you have to have it.
No, it's very true. It's very true. And so, as you said, you've had a consolidation, of the solution and some of the technology, but at the same time, it's gotten more complicated. Just because there's so much more functionality in it, right? You mentioned, CASB. Well, that's like another module. That's another plugin. There's so many, when you've got a cloud delivered solution, it's so easy to roll in something new, monthly potentially, and have it just evolve so quickly. So the complexity of the solution, while it may seem simple, to consume, and it is, that means nothing with complexity to actually implement it properly, and get full utilization out of it. I mean, the last thing you ever want to see is somebody buy just a best of breed solution and only use 20% of it. That's just, it's horrible, and so a lot of times, we come in and we help with that quite often, to ensure, that there's no tech debt in those situations where, that you just don't get the customer. It's just extremely unfortunate when they have that solution and they don't get full utilization and full benefit out of it.
No, and I think from my perspective, I haven't been a security consultant for a really long time. When you do get these kind of awesome products that solve a lot of problems, and sometimes that stretches across security, IT, even into other parts of the organization, maybe there's a separate cloud team, it does, help to have somebody who can kind of guide you through that process. And it's typically not we're going to flip all this on at the same time kind of journey. It's here's the roadmap that's going to get us there. And there's that, rationalization of what that journey needs to be, which could be different for everybody. And I do think that's the value that having a strong, partner to kind of take you there is. We don't typically kind of toot our own horns in this, but I definitely think from an insight perspective, that's one of those things that we do really well.
Yeah, no, without a doubt, a tech debt. I'm stealing your phrase, JJ. I love it. No, but it's genuine, right? And there's this concept. Everyone will talk. All the other kind of point product partners out there, manufacturers out there, they'll talk about oh, it's zero touch, so easy. My grandma could do it, and I'm like, okay,
I've never seen zero touch.
Yeah, most whitewashed term in technology, right?
Yeah.
Zero. It's the new digital transformation. I don't know. Well, let's try to avoid all those. I'm guilty now because I've used both of them. One jokingly and one seriously. But tech debt's a great phrase, because adoption is what we're maniacally focused on with our partner community, about driving our partners back into sometimes even into their own accounts or into some of our traditional accounts, where we can help expand adoption. Technology adoption is huge. We're doing our partner webinar tomorrow with Carl Soderlund that we do every quarter, our SVP of channels, and Patty Hatter is his guest. And she's our Chief Customer Experience Officer. And guess what she's going to be talking about? She's talking about how partners aid in our adoption model, right? So these are things that we think about every single day. Honestly, they keep us up at night, right? Because tech debt is a serious problem. We want our customers to get the best benefit, buy the most products. Obviously, that's what we're all here to do, right? I won't make any false claims about that. We want to sell product, but for us, that is like the foot in the door. It means nothing without adoption and a world-class customer experience. And the other thing you touched on, JJ, that I just want to make sure we don't gloss over, we were laughing about CASB. CASB is its own industry. It's its own quadrant, right? Literally. Yeah. So when I look at what we're doing in the SASE, and just in general at Palo Alto Networks, we are a leader in 8 quadrants, right? SASE, we're going to see those consolidate, all those 4 or 5 different quadrants where, depending on who you are, you might argue there's 4 or 5. We're going to see those consolidate into more of like an edged focused quadrant, which we're hearing a lot about. And I expect we'll be a leader there alongside some of our partners and the success you've had. So to use your phrase again, yeah, it's all these different products are their own industry to some extent, and customers are tasked with, and partners and us from a software perspective, we're all tasked with, how do we bring this together to a user experience that's functional and that's actually achievable? And to your point, Jason, over time, maybe, most likely, because these are big deals usually, how do we get there, right? How do we step through that process? And it sounds like, and I know our customers have a great experience with you guys for that.
Yeah. And, you kind of broached the subject earlier, Ryan. So I do have a question. Sorry, throwing this out there, but like, one of the things I think a lot of folks that are watching, we have people outside of Insight that watch this and outside of Palo. So I do admire, I've been watching, paying a lot of attention to the acquisition strategy and those kinds of things. And I do, from a SASE perspective, and what you just said, I think is very forward looking. And where do you think this is going? Where do you think from us? And I think you just kind of mentioned a couple of things, but what do you think the next thing's going to be after, CASB was just launched? Yeah,
I appreciate that question very much, because again, things we think about every single day. So for me, it's kind of four categories, 3 major categories. One is sub A, sub B. So I'll kind of walk you through it. Think about, we're building a house. First thing we need is a really, really strong foundation, right? So we need a really good secure access service edge platform. So that's, to me, 2 very core components: network as a service, security as a service, single policy to deliver both of those to the user, irregardless of where the user lives, anywhere in the world, whether they're in a branch, whether they're in a home office, which is often a branch now, right? Palo Alto Networks, we went from 68 branch offices to 10,000 branch offices overnight. So we suffered with this ourselves. So I speak from experience in that we learned from that and actually developed products around that in the last 18 months. So good foundation, network as a service, security as a service, single policy set to deliver the entire user experience. That's the foundation, right? And I think the next layer we launched about 30 days ago, where I firmly believe we are light years ahead of the competition, is 8M, automated digital experience management, right? So the ability to take all of that policy construct and apply it in a very tangible way to IT that our partners help with more often than not, or that a customer can look at themselves in a really crisp dashboard that says, this application works well across all users, only some global theaters, works, all applications in RTP, as an example, do really well on this provider, but not this provider, or these users are experiencing these types of applications, right? So kind of all the different layers of the stack, again, irregardless of whether the user lives at the home or lives at a branch, right? And then I think where the next phase is, and where we're getting, and no one is today, is tying all of this together in an AI ops model. So really elegantly helping partners and customers proactively remediate, and we're doing a lot of that today, by the way, proactive remediation of these types of issues, rather than just reporting and having users have to replicate problems and go through that traditional time suck of, where's the problem actually exists? Is this a user problem? Is this a device problem? Is this an infrastructure problem? And, really creating this kind of AI ops model where it's very, very proactive. It's a self-healing, self-driving environment, which I would argue we're doing most of that today, but starting to kind of productize that and find a way to deliver that very seamlessly across the platform, I think is our next evolution. And I think it's a very natural evolution. I think it's where the industry will go.
That makes perfect sense. And I think, as I talk to a lot of folks, including our own board of directors, I think that, the AI play is something that, it's funny because, I don't know that the folks on the board could actually give a pretty lengthy conversation related to AI, but they definitely know that we need it, right? And I think it's one of those things where, but how it's usable and what that means, I think it has a lot of interpretations within the industry, for example. But I think that integration into the platform and how it benefits across a wider breadth is really, really key, and what a lot of folks need. I don't know that they really care that AI is there as long as they're getting the benefits of what that means.
I think we got to stop worrying so much about how everything works and more about,
right.
Does it work, right? I think as users, let's just be transparent, right? As users, I'll use the pandemic just because it's an easy applicable reference. When it started, we were all a little more tolerant of just crap experiences, right? We were just like, oh, I get it. IT's overburdened, whatever, right? We put in whatever we want. That is just gone. That's over. Like if my experience fails right now, that is a very bad brand experience. Now there's certain things we just can't do, right? If I'm single threaded at home. So someone chops my internet, like it is what it is. I don't have LTE yet in my area because I live in the sticks. So the reality is if my internet goes down, my internet goes down. But we want to do everything we can to mitigate that, because the measure of success or failure with technology, at least in my mind, is it just has to work. I don't need anything else. I just need it to work, and I don't care why else. And then the other point of your comment I have there, Jason, on your point, and JJ, I think maybe you could kind of talk to this, is, when it needs to be in the background. And for me, AI ops means scale, right? Scale used to be a problem. And again, JJ, I love your feedback. I would love, because you're seeing customers regularly. Scale used to be a problem for the large enterprise, way more so than everybody else. Scale's a problem for everybody now. Because if I have 500 users, right, and I had 2 branch offices where they used to live, maybe scale wasn't that big of a problem for me. Now I have 500 offices. I have a big scale problem, right? So I think organizations are being forced to think differently about what architecture is suitable for today and long into the future. So I don't know, JJ, if you have any thoughts on that, but for me, that's at least what I'm seeing out there.
No, absolutely. And you're dead on with that, Ryan. I mean, scale has now become an issue for everybody, where it kind of wasn't before. When you touched on ADEM, it's a very interesting solution, because it gives visibility where there wasn't any, and it gives some auto remediation capabilities, when that would have had to have been done manually. And, that goes directly to scale. Palo didn't have to go that route. They could have just delivered a great security solution, with a more than adequate, connectivity delivery. That would have been fine. But to throw that in there just speaks to, where all of this is going. You can't just stop with delivering something good. You've got to also continually address the manageability aspect. The cost of ownership of all these things are real. As when we talk about the edge, it's like, well, what the heck is the edge? Well, you know what? Who knows? It changes all the time. And with each one of those iterations, you have increased complexity. And with increased complexity, that just dramatically affects your manageability, your administration, as you said, customer experience, right? The user experience always ultimately is where that's just, hammered. Anything that can be done, across those lines or during this process to affect that positively, is just an exponential improvement. I mean, anything that can be benefited by AI, can be benefited with, any kind of automation solution, is just going to allow these things, to take off so much more, because you can create a great product, but if it's not easy to implement and then manage and support along the way, it'll fail, and it's not the problem of the product, but it's both of these things have to be attacked. And, it was really great to see Palo throw that solution in there. It's like, well, first it's like, well, that's great, but why is that in there? Well, now you really know when these things start to develop and they start to be consumed, that you can't do one, without the other. It won't ultimately end up with a positive experience, no matter how good the solution alone may be.
I'm thankful we have guys that think about that stuff, JJ, and I'm thankful we have partners like you that know how to implement it. Because let's not overlook the fact that the amount of work that you guys do to help customers actually adopt this technology, right? I mean, the stuff we put. Look, I'll be honest. I think you guys know I'm a pretty transparent guy based on the conversation we've had. But the reality is that we put you guys through hell to some extent on certifications, and you guys welcome it because there's so much complexity and so much that we have to learn. It's almost like this, just making it work, just making the experience the forefront where it's nothing else is in the way is so hard. It's almost like the hardest technology challenge, and it can't be done by just the manufacturer or just the partner, right? It really has to be that collective relationship that gets us over the edge, right? Because making something brilliant and simple is oftentimes those two things directly conflict. right? So I think you need that whole approach to your point.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. So we did a survey before the session, and we were asking folks what they thought the top security benefit of SASE was, and overwhelmingly, and I know we're about to jump into another buzzword that a lot of folks are going to key in on. Zero trust was the thing that a lot of folks was 77% of the respondents said that zero trust was the biggest benefit of SASE, and I know Palo Alto has some strong positions on zero trust. Any comments there?
Yeah, I can. What a big question. I love it.
Yeah.
By the way,
in 20 minutes or less, please. Yeah.
I love the sort of, hey, 30 seconds or less. What's zero trust to Ryan Williams? Well, it's kind of a big ask. Okay, so let me try to simplify this the best I can. I would say that all of us universally, I would say, agree, everybody, partners, suppliers, we all kind of agree overall that zero trust starts with identity, right? And I think our position is that identity is only part of the story, right? We believe that context plays a critical role in how well you approach zero trust network access, right? You have to have context. And what do I mean by that? So I'm a user of Palo Alto Networks. I'm an authorized user. I have access to very sensitive information. I could be a bad actor at the same time, right? I could be using that information and uploading it somewhere else. So you have to have that. And that's more of a DLP thing. I get that. But at the end of the day, that context that's associated with what the user is doing with their access is really, really important. And it's really hard, right? Because when we think about the security stack as a whole, there's this cloud that was easier. It wasn't as bad of a scale problem when everything was inline, right? But now you've got all of this other SaaS stuff out there, users living everywhere. That access problem is a bigger deal. So identity only gets you so far. Also, let's not forget though, although SaaS is exploding. I mean, I literally did one of these sessions yesterday called Contain the SaaS Explosion with Palo Alto Networks CASB, right? So we agree that SaaS is exploding. Customers still have roughly, depending on the customer you talk to, 70 to 80, only 70 to 80% of their infrastructure is either in the cloud or will be in the cloud by the end of this year. So there's still that kind of, if you can't address the full context and inline problem, if you're one of our competitors that can only do cloud security or cloud ZTNA, are you just telling customers that 20 or 30% of their environment is, we're not going to worry about that. You can go get somebody else. So I think there's, from a ZTNA perspective, my final thought bringing this all together is context is the most important part, and having the ability to see the entire picture end to end, all applications, all users, all protocols, all infrastructure, whether it's SaaS or inline, I think plays a really major role in what zero trust actually means. And because we have the whole platform, I think we're the most well-positioned to do it. I would also say that we can't do it without partners, because all of that's great and we have the products and we're available to do it. But if it's implemented wrong, I don't think you get there.
It's more than a product, for sure.
Yeah. No, the one thing I wanted to add to that is it's interesting. So, when we have SASE discussions, with our customers, a lot of times we're there to fix a specific issue, and sometimes zero trust doesn't necessarily come up, and it's intriguing, right? I mean, it's hot, but it may not be the reason that we're there. But what's so exciting about the SASE solutions, I mean, especially Palo's, is you've got zero trust baked in. And I was talking to Jason about this earlier. It's so exciting when we can come and have a SASE discussion with a customer that maybe it fixes an issue with access, maybe they're doing an expansion, and this kind of makes sense, or an acquisition, whatever, and that's great. But what's so exciting is to take it to that next level and say, let me explain to you, not only is it going to fix this, but you have the opportunity right now to dramatically raise the maturity level of your entire security program just by pulling this trigger, because it's got everything baked into it that you don't have to create anymore. It's a cloud delivered solution. It's all in there. Now, sure, you've got to implement it correctly, but it's all there for you to do that. You can do the zero trust. You can force all your traffic 24/7, 365 into the SASE solution. And now whenever that business asset turns on and connects to anything, if it's at a coffee shop, if it's on 5G, whatever, it's 100% protected with the same solution that's protecting your data center, that's protecting your cloud assets, that's protecting everything, with simple policies, 100% visibility. Anyway, I'm kind of excited about this stuff, if you can't tell. So I'm a little hoarse. Apologize for that.
I think we all are.
Yeah. But it's one of the most fun things to have the conversations with the customers. It's like, okay, yeah, not only can we do that, but let me tell you how far this can go. And some of the things you haven't even possibly considered, that this can do for you, that we can help do this for you with this solution. So, and that's when it gets really exciting, because their eyes just open up. It's like,
the light bulb.
We can,
the light turns on in a dark room. I totally agree.
It's like, because it seemed undoable yesterday. It was one of those things that it's like, well, yeah, we want to get there, but that's so hard to do, but guess what? Things are changing. Adoption is so much easier now with cloud delivered solutions and services. So anyway, it's very exciting. So I love having those conversations with the customers all the time. That's what we get, is a lot of eye-opening moments when we come in and have these small discussions, but then we're able to talk about the big picture, and how we can literally transform, their business and the way that they do things, while increasing security at the same time. So it's really exciting.
JJ, I think you nailed it. And I love the passion, and I share it as a technologist, right? I share that passion because we genuinely believe we can help people, right? Our mission and our vision, right? That we believe and we're dedicated every day to making the world a safer place than it was the day before. And we mean it, right? We all get pretty passionate about it. But I think what you really nailed there is that, you said it might have been impossible to do in the past. I would say it probably was impossible. Even 18 months ago, 24 months ago, I think this was impossible. I think true zero trust network access might have been impossible. Now, you could have pieced it together and kind of built a framework and built a plan, but I wouldn't argue that it was really readily available. And I look at just the evolution of our company over the last 2 years. What a fire sale. So for the customers that are listening to this, if you haven't followed the journey we've been on, do a little research. I had the pleasure of coming to this company by acquisition 18 months ago. And I was blown away because we were the 5th acquisition in a series of now 20 over the last 30 months, 20 acquisitions of best of breed products. And then not only did we acquire them, but we didn't go acquire them and kill them or just, grab some customer base. We literally have fundamentally integrated some of these acquisitions. We never even really publicly announced because we bought a technology and integrated it fundamentally because we believed, I would argue our 8M acquisition was that too. Yeah. We didn't believe we could get there fast enough, and we know that customers really need this stuff. So, credit to Nikesh and our leadership team. I'm so thankful I work for a lot of people that are much smarter than myself, right? JJ, I'm clearly the good-looking one, but there's a lot of really smart folks at the company who have the vision to be around. Look at Lee Klarich and Nir and Nikesh and Amit and these guys. They're really out there thinking about where are customers going, what's that journey, what's that buyer's journey look like, and also, what are those bad actors doing? What's their journey look like? And how do we respond to that with things like Unit 42? And how does our technology portfolio adapt to suit our customers' needs through this process? Because when they release it to us, we get just as excited as you guys and love being able to share it with you. And then together go stand out in front of customers and share this news because we're getting there, right? And it's hard. I'm not going to say that this has been easy. And there's certainly been some bumps, like integrating that much technology and that many different cultures into one culture is hard. And it was hard for me to transition and was welcomed with open arms. And here we are, driving a really, what I would call a really great vision forward.
Yeah, no doubt.
Awesome. Well, gentlemen, that has been a lively conversation. I'm excited too. I, want to close this out. I'm sure there's lots of other conversations we're going to have about this with Palo Insight and our clients. What are some final closing thoughts that we've got for folks out there? I think probably more, from folks like us that are kind of in the fray and see where it's going. What do you have to the folks out there that are the consumers of this? What kind of words of, encouragement do you got for folks who are still kind of facing the zero trust juggernaut or the tech debt that they sit within. Why don't you start, JJ, and we'll let Ryan, you close.
Yeah, no, I mean, with this, I'd say, give us a call, come give us a call, seriously, because so much of this stuff is just hard to grasp and understand. You hear about it, you read about it, and maybe you're not sure, what does it mean to me? How can, I pull this off? You can't just do these things on your own. It's what we do. We have experts in every single, vertical market space, you name it. We can address all of those issues. But I'm not, I mean, sure, it sounds a little silly about just call us, but I truly mean that. Let us help you with that, because it's, just like I said, I love when we can deliver a solid solution for somebody and they just, and it takes them where they didn't even imagine they could go. That's super exciting for us. We're huge with customer experience. When we believe it wholeheartedly, not only in just, how we treat our customers, but how we want the solutions to be implemented, for our customers. It's a failure if all of that isn't addressed, beyond the product itself. So you need a partner for that. You need a partner to help you figure out the plan. You need a partner to help you make sure that you're addressing everything and you're considering everything. And then to help take you there. So if we're part of that, great. I'd love for us to be there. But don't think that you have to do it alone. And leverage all your assets. And consider partners' assets, certainly.
Couldn't agree more. I had before you. I'm going to sound like a Me Too guy now. Thanks, JJ. Me also guy. Sure. So my message was twofold: take a breath. And I know I'm high energy and I talk really fast, so it's kind of ironic coming from me, but just take a breath, take a minute. Don't go buy a point product to solve one little problem, because you all know what's going to happen. Now you look at your own environment. You've already got 8, on average, large customers have 27 security products in their environment. It's unmanageable. They're never going to all integrate. I don't care what anybody told you on a white paper. It's messy. It's not going to work. Ask JJ. He's already tried to do that for customers and get them out of areas and then has to migrate them. And the partner sees the pain more than even we do. But when we talk to CIOs, it's their biggest complaint is like, oh man, I've got so much going on now. I don't even know what's happening anymore. Right. And from a security perspective, that's really dangerous and exposes you to a lot of risk. So take a breath. Don't just buy something because you feel like you have to solve a problem. Engage a partner. Do not go it alone. Bring us in. We will support our partners. We'll be side by side selling with JJ at Insight, right? Bring us in. Let us have the conversation. Have a real evaluation. Don't make a snap decision on a point product. Look at a platform that can take you into the future. And instead of should you buy Palo Alto Networks, we hope you will. We hope we can earn your trust and that we've done the things to earn your trust. We hope that Insight has done the things to earn your trust and they're your partner. Then let's get over that hump after taking a breath and let's sit down and have that real tangible, how do we get there conversation. Let's put a roadmap together. We'll align the products and kind of support resources to get us there, put a cost schedule together. It's not about a sales process. It's about a journey. It genuinely is. And we got to get away from that. We have no interest in a transactional relationship with our customers. We've got to get into these programmatic approaches with our customers where we become an asset. Like JJ said, use your assets, take a breath, don't go it alone.
Love it. Thanks, both of you. And again, I share your passion. I think you guys are awesome. I appreciate what you both brought to the conversation today. If you folks out there would like to know more about what we do here at Insight, please visit us at insightcdct.com for more information. Ryan, JJ, you guys rock. Hope to see you guys on again soon. And thanks for all you do. Appreciate it.
I want to be invited back. Bring me back.
Thanks, Jason. This was great. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Cheers.